the way, Deborah, his comment there was intended to me about not going on about stuff and getting into the, on a rabbit trail or deep in the woods on things. I understood that very clearly, David. So
I wasn't sure if you could tell where my eyes were going in the boxes.
Yeah. I couldn't tell that specifically because I don't know where I'm at on your boxes, but I heard it loud and clear. I'm known, Deborah. I get talking on these topics, and man, I can just go for hours.
Welcome to the Greater Calling vlog. My name is David Edson. My co-hosts today are Ken Sparks and Whitney Schultens. This vlog is a fun and collaborative way to us to explore best practices to maximize the good % of your business. It's where we investigate the purpose and heartbeat your company shares among stakeholders to make an impact beyond the bottom line. Our guest today, we are very excited to have on the show today. It is Debra Alberti. Debra has been an executive architect in technology for over 35 years, working in over 74 countries, bringing technology and innovation. She has spent the last almost 12 years sharing her skills in her role at IBM. Debra, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. Okay.
It seems like whenever I read a book focused around social good in business, I always read about IBM. Could you tell us a little bit more about how IBM is engaging in corporate social responsibility?
So IBM, from the day you join the company, one of the first things they have you do is sign up for what we call our employee volunteer portal. And what that does is IBM has numerous ways where they give back in numerous areas, and they kind of address some of the key areas, I would say, such as their prime areas are education, health, economic development, community resiliency, any kind of major issues like COVID, that just happened and how you had to change things going on in that. So what our portal does is it teaches employees all of the opportunities, whether they're local, whether they're virtual, or whether they're actually deploying in our service corps to a different country and spending a couple months there, to accomplish a problem. So they start their socialization of, volunteerism from the day you join. It's one of the very first things you learn. So they've also recently too just introduced what they call microservices portals as well. Based on COVID, there was a need, you couldn't travel, you couldn't go to all of these countries, and there was still a need to support many of the initiatives as well. And so we've introduced a whole line of what we call micro volunteerism as well opportunities.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit more about that. And I would love to hear a story, maybe even one that's kind of internally famous or infamous about an impact that IBM had. Like just in any, I know you guys are involved in so many different amazing projects, but if there's one that stands out to you or the team as a whole.
So one that was kind of fun that we did, we also have this program and it's called a call to code. And what they do is they kind of have these contests between different countries and different employee divisions as to who can come up with codes that address some kind of situation going on in the world today. So the winner of that was a problem called liquid gold. And what it was is we renamed it, of course, it's called Clever Crop. And what it does is it uses technology, and it can be used in any type of environment, whether it's low end economic or high end economic. You put these sensors in various parts, and the sensors are under $10, so it's not a high investment cost. And that kind of feeds into a weather system, and you put in specifics about the environment, such as like the type of crop they're growing, the type of soil they're growing, weather forecast, for the upcoming weeks and things like that. And what it's allowed them to do is reduce their water quantities and increase their crop production as well, because they hit things at the ideal time as well. And it was created by a bunch of pretty much people with under 5 years service. There were 4 of them, and they created it, and we've actually deployed it now in like 6 different countries. So it was pretty cool. It started as a nothing, just as like a fun little game, and turned into this pretty cool it tracks things like growth stage and crop types and soil types and yield types and historical, because it's all about data these days, right? Anything,
Right.
a lot of the changes IBM does are based on data, to help out the various organizations and countries, whatever they're dealing with.
Deborah, the thing I love about this is that you're sharing your gifts, talents, and assets of who you guys are. Not just here's some money, here's some goods, here's something to share, but you're sharing your gifts, talents, and assets of who you are outside of your building walls. That's what's cool.
Thank you. Yes, that's what they're very big on pushing that. No, that's what microservices are all about. Like if you look at the microservices, they're reading to children that are unable to read. They have open education lines where you can just call in and ask a subject matter expert, how do I get into coding? How do I get into STEM programs? They've worked with, human trafficking, calling in and reporting. And these are things that, somebody can take 30 minutes of their time and help out in those, teach a quick STEM class, teach a quick coding class, it's, so we really try to make it easy for the employees to engage as well.
That's great. And stuff with the crops, I think, is so critical, especially in this day and age, because food security is such a big issue, especially in a lot of countries after COVID, with food shortages and farmers not being able to get things planted or harvested in time, and just all the chaos that created. And so thank you guys for doing that. That's an incredible help. I know that is a constantly evolving field of agriculture, and it's great to see new technologies coming in just to help people and make the process easier. So,
and what's great about it is it's all about based on the input, the data you input, right? So the same basic solution can be used anywhere, in any country, which is nice. It's not geared towards just, one specific country. So
absolutely. Yeah, that's great.
Repeatable. Yeah.
My next question, I'd love to know what making, I'll call it philanthropy or corporate social responsibility, making that a priority in IBM's strategy. What has that done for the company, the employees, and customers? Are you seeing more engagement? Are you seeing people more excited to work with IBM? On the benefactor side, are you seeing just people excited to be a part of what you're doing, I guess?
No, yes. So we have, and I know you thought it was high, we have like 80% to 85% participation. And I think part of that is there's so many different levels to be able to participate. Like I said, from 30 minutes to, going to a different country for, 2 or 3 months as well. Right. You can donate financially or you can donate of yourself. So there's so many ways to donate. And we are constantly getting different nonprofit. We only deal with, governments and nonprofit organizations as partners as well. We're constantly getting requests to do more and more. We just work with some of the water conservation teams in Kenya regarding, a new water system, a new distributable water system, and access to clean water and things like that as well. And once again, it's all about data, and gathering the data and, spreading it out. The same thing can be repeated in other countries. But that was, a partner that came to us, the water conservation, and asked us if we could use our technologies and start to create applications and things, to do that. So we sent out, subject matter experts and, they went ahead and put together this program. So we get a lot of veterans, a lot of veterans associations just reach out to us, while they may not be able to work in traditional jobs, especially like wounded warriors and things like that. These are remote kind of jobs, they can do this virtual. So,
right.
We've really tried to hit every area possible.
Right. And so I'm going to add a little question here just based on some things that you said for discussion. So I'm sure, like you mentioned, you get a lot of applicants, people that are interested in getting projects funded or engaging with IBM with different things that they're doing. How do you select what organizations you partner with? What are those key things that you're looking for in a partner organization?
David, you just stole one of my questions. So
Oh, sorry.
please, Deborah, answer that one.
I know it's a tough one. I'm not involved directly in the decision-making process of those, but a lot of it has to do with nonprofit, the history behind that company, and the project that they want to take on. Like I said, we work with a lot of governments because they tend to have the best feel for what some of these countries, some of what their various areas in the countries need.
Mhm.
And we work with a lot. There has to be some type of humanitarian and empathy associated with the company. We don't do it for any kind of financial gains. It's doing it for the pure give back aspect of it. So those are the only characteristics that I'm aware of right now that we look for.
Okay, gotcha. That's great. That's great. My last question before I kick it over to Ken and Whitney, what's something that you've personally learned through IBM's commitment to philanthropy? That's a deep question.
I know. It's really just to continue, you start to see the value in it. You can actually, how this is kind of a show me society, you like to see the results of your actions, kind of there. And so what I've learned is the results of my actions. And so that's like kind of a good feeling, you can do all of these things. It takes up very little of your time, yet you can see the impact it's making, especially outside of the US. I was recently working in a project called Missing Maps.
Mm-hmm.
And what Missing Maps is we're working with all kinds of humanitarian organizations for areas that have had disasters and people have just been kind of lost off the grid. And how do we get those people on the grid so we can get them services they need, because we don't know what they don't need because we don't know where they are kind of scenario. Right. And it's, collaboration with, organizations in these countries and coming up with sites and data to kind of pull these, people in so that we can get them services. So the missing map concept is putting these folks on maps per se.
That's great.
And that was a very cool project because you saw people that had no food and no water getting food and water, so, even at that basic level. And we do a lot of work with Global Citizen. I don't know if you're familiar with those as well too. So we've been doing a lot of work with them.
That's awesome.
Global Citizen as well.
That's really great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to kick it over to Ken and Whitney for a little bit, and then we'll close out with our signature question.
Okay.
Debra, I'm just curious because IBM talks about the triple benefits of these global deployments. And I love that, but I'm also wondering why you think it's so wildly popular for your employees to have a global deployment. Why are they so interested in global? Your first go of it, you guys had 5,000 applicants just to be a part of it. So why do you think it's so, people are so eager to go global?
So a lot of companies historically were globally located, but not globally synced up, right? And truly operating. And IBM is truly operating and functioning, for quite some time as a true global company. They're one of the largest system integrators in the world. And I think our teams have become so close and so interconnected with that, that they're so used to having that experience of working with people from other countries. That it's just such a great opportunity. I think they're looking at the positive of it is that they still have their job, but they get to take that expertise, to what to them was a foreign country that they, a location they've never been to, and, share that expertise and make those people, teach them, let them learn so that they can continue it on themselves as well. So I don't know what floats their mindset for that. It's different things I think trigger different people, but it's just very much part of the culture here. Like I said, you learn it from square one, and they just make it a very exciting, positive experience. So,
well, you talk about it being a show me world, right? And so, like you said, you can see the benefits really clearly.
Yeah.
I think so.
And you get to work with, you're not going and sitting in a room working with a bunch of executives, right? You're working with the people that are actually experiencing the issues and working to resolve the issues with local teams, so it's a very satisfying concept.
True.
Yeah.
It sounds it, Deborah.
Yeah.
Well, my question is, when it comes to making an impact in the world, that doesn't hurt, that actually helps. So that concept of helping and not hurting. And the fact that the world really has matured to the notion that you need to create sustainability and not dependency. So I'm wondering, as you as an organization invite individuals into these service opportunities as volunteers and the IBMers, that was IBM Service Corps, right? That's, when you're inviting them into that to engage in international deployments, especially international deployments, what are the ways in which IBM resources the employee and or the community to tackle whatever issue that they're working with, and creating sustainability and not dependency? Are there things that IBM does to help bring that to light within the scope of direction, or what does that look like within the organizations? And is that, because I remember seeing something that said that sustainability element is an important feature of what you are trying to do.
Yes, so we bring in all resources from, project management through various subject matter experts, through marketing experts, through, command chain experts, when we look at these projects, right? And so when we're in these countries, we have a team of experts. Everybody has their own area of expertise. And we actually train the resources, that's part of our requirement as well too, right? Is that you have to have people that we can train and we can educate to do this. And then we work those projects right alongside them. So we're coding, they're coding, kind of scenario. And so very much, hand in hand, two in the box kind of concept. So, but like awesome. I said, we do have a project manager though, that also manages the whole thing so that we make sure we get all the pieces that are required to be successful as well. So.
Awesome. Well, I suspect that provides quite a bit of employee satisfaction in those engagements. I mean, because you're building a relationship at the same time as you're making an impact. And that's one of the things that we as an organization really value, is that relational content, because that's where true lasting change occurs, not in a transaction. So you guys seem to completely understand that as well. It's awesome.
Well, we have offices in so many different countries as well. And so we try to include some local folks when we deploy a team to the country as well, too, so that the country itself has an ongoing local contact, as well, that they can reach out to. So I would say that, most of the people that go on a corpse trip, they come home and they immediately want to go again.
Right.
You rarely hear anybody say, "Oh, it was great, but I'm never going again." I mean, they're already looking for the next assignment. So.
I bet so.
Yeah, so it's nice. It really is. They do a lot.
That's great. Well, Ken, Whitney, do you guys have anything additional?
Oh, I always have more questions, but not for today.
Well,
yeah, that's about.
With that, then I'm gonna just jump into our final signature question for you, Deborah. And that is, what is one golden nugget you want to leave us with today about utilizing the good percent in today's business world?
That's a tough one. Utilizing the good percent in today's world is, I think, especially in today's world, is to honestly just continue to give back, ignore all of the noise, and look to work with corporations that truly do give back, and not just in one area, that are concerned with equality, concerned with environment, concerned with resiliency, education. I mean, that's part of what my value with IBM is that they don't just hit one area that's easiest for them, right? They really, they look for the hard spots, and I think that's my takeaway is, like I said, especially in today's world, to just continue to look for the good. There's a lot of companies out there that don't do these kinds of things. They throw money at a solution. They don't give of themselves. They don't make it a sustainable kind of strategy, So I think looking for those key components is what was important to me when I picked something that I'm going to volunteer for.
Yeah, I hear you saying that authenticity is real at IBM.
It's very real. Yes, I will say yes. That's a great way to sum it up. So
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Deborah, for your insights today. And thank you everyone for watching. I'm David Edson of Greater Calling, encouraging you to make the most of your good percent. Until next time, we'll see you later.